Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NXT Then Now Forever. I'm James Boyd, and this week, my worst fears have finally came true. It was just a matter of time before I was going to have to run into this situation. It is Solo James. So, we are going to sprint off the air, much like Roman Reigns after he won the title at SummerSlam last year. Let's just get into it. Let's go to 5 years ago's NXT.
Look, I'm sorry, Paige. You've done a wonderful job. History can never take that away from you. But the decision's been made to strip you of the NXT championship.
Oh, wait. Rewind. You're gonna take this away from me? I don't deserve that. I've worked so hard to get this, and you're gonna take this away from me? I don't think so. No, I refuse. No.
WWE NXT 218 from April 24th, 2014. The show opens up with Champ Paige walking around backstage until she runs into NXT GM JBL. JBL tells her that she's proud of her becoming the youngest ever Divas champion and becoming probably the first and last ever Divas NXT Women's Champion. But he's got some bad news. Because of the demands of traveling worldwide and defending the Divas titles, she is being stripped of the NXT Women's title. Paige basically throws a tantrum saying that's bullshit and she doesn't deserve that. JBL says, you don't deserve that, you're right. And you don't deserve what's happening because you did the work and you worked hard and you are a wonderful champion, but it's not fair to NXT. He says he's going to create a tournament to crown the next champion, and hopefully this champion will be something like her, and that next champion has very large shoes to fill. Paige says that she was going to defend the title until the very end, but she gets it's time for the next woman to stand up, and then Paige reluctantly hands over the NXT Women's title to JBL. JBL had to be furious when he found out about what happened. He remembered that he once upon a time had to hold on to that skeet belt. Anyway, out comes Lana, speaking a foreign language. I can't tell if it's Bulgarian or French. And she's talking, and then all of a sudden in English she tells us to rise and stand for the super athlete Rusev. So we get Rusev coming out, and it's versus a jobber named Travis Tyler. Tyler has a drop kick at the bell, and then he hits the ropes, and then Tyler gets ran over at the ropes by the Bulgarian bus. Rusev throws some knee lifts to the guts, and then a fall-away slam. Then Rusev hits a freak accident like he's Lars Sullivan from the prototype, and then he slaps on the accolade for the submission victory. We go backstage for an Adam Rose interview, where we see the likes of WrestleMania 35 main event winner Becky Lynch, Dana Brooke, Elias, Simon Gotch, Braun Strowman, and Fuck All Night Tucker Knight. All Rosebuds. So Rose says that he has two words for Camacho: party pooper. He says that Camacho is also boring and tells Camacho, don't be a lemon, be a rosebud. So we get a commercial for WWE Slam City. Out comes Charlotte and Sasha. They come out together for a tag match against Emma and a surprise partner. Emma comes out, and we find out that the surprise partner is Paige. They start out the match by getting heat on Emma. Watching this match, you can notice that Charlotte has dropped that figure four headlock from her repertoire these days. And it's probably for the better. I guess do more chops instead of that. Paige gets the hot tag. She hits 3 straight wrist controls, clotheslines on Sasha, looking like Okada. Charlotte comes in and hits a basement drop kick onto Paige's left knee. Emma comes in and tries to throw Charlotte out the ring, but Charlotte reverses and throws her out to the floor by the heels corner. Then Charlotte tags in and hits a natural selection on Paige for the win. This was like, this was very similar to last year's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view match for the Raw tag titles between Mick Ziggler and Seth and Dean, where all of a sudden we have this one person just do all the work and come off looking like just an ass-kicking contender. And Charlotte, you know, looking at how this thing was set up, it seemed like this was typical, especially nowadays when you think of what happened just recently. This is typical Vince McMahon fucking with Triple H's machine of planning and all of that, and it said, nah, never mind. Remember, you were always at service to the main roster. And sure enough, Paige versus Charlotte got scrapped because no more Paige. Yoink. Thank you kindly. So we end up getting a WWE Legends House commercial. Then we get a Total Divas commercial where Cameron is throwing a party while House and Cat sitting for Natty, and naturally she loses the cat. However will they find her? What is Cameron going to do? How is Natty going to react? Stay tuned. So we get Mason Ryan versus Tyson Kidd. The match starts with Tyson sticking and moving with swift kicks until Mason throws him around. Tyson hits a top rope blockbuster for the win. After the match, Tyson gets interviewed. He says because of the WWE Network, NXT has more eyes on it than ever before. So this is where he's going to showcase his abilities. He says, if you want to fight, I'll brawl. If you want to fly, I'll soar. And if you want to test me, I'll prove you wrong. I don't know what that last part's supposed to mean. If I want to test you, I will prove you wrong. That's not how you test. You would, flying colors. Anyway, and then out comes skinny, clean-shaven, geek chic backpacker Angelo Dawkins. That's right. Not the brawler from the Street Profits that cooks. Never mind what he cooks. Not that guy. We have a dork. Okay. He glowed up over the last 5 years or so. So, he's out. He's not over because no one knows who he is. But he's wrestling someone that is over to the NXT audience, Tyler Breeze. So, commentary notes that Angelo Dawkins is a 3-sport former champion in wrestling, track, and football. Dawkins wrestles Breeze down to the mat. Breeze gets to the ropes and then takes over and slaps on a hold. Dawkins escapes the hold, but he ends up getting a kick in the gut. So Tyler ends up dropping fists on him from full mount, then lifts up Dawkins to his feet and then hits the spinning heel kick for the win. We get a recap of last week's Neville Brodus main event, and then we get some backstage footage from after the show where Brodus attacked Neville in a pair to knock out some of Neville's front teeth. Now, I'm assuming because Neville has always had that mouthpiece in that Neville had his teeth knocked out previously, but nice touch. We don't know that, so we're to assume. It's similar to the, if I remember correctly, it was like the CZW Ring of Honor thing with Cornette. Anyway, the main event. Sami Zayn and the WWE Tag Team Champions, the Usos, versus Corey Graves and NXT Tag Team Champions, the Ascension. The match begins with Graves tagging in and out while Sami is also in so the Ascension can wear him down. There's a spot where the Usos shoot Victor into the ropes and then set up a double back body drop. Victor instead stops on a dime and then knocks both the Usos' heads together. The Usos no sell it because they're Pacific Islanders, and then they both knock Victor smooth on his ass with stereo punches. Racist wrestling psychology. So Connor tags in, and it's Yah time. Hella strikes, hella Yahs, and we go to commercial break in the middle of a main event on a paid-for network. We go to commercial. Yikes. Anyway, we come back with the Hills getting the heat on Jay. Alex points out that Corey Graves has the words "stay down" tattooed on his knuckles, then makes a joke that Graves is all in and that it was WWE or bust because he's clearly not going to get a suit and tie job. Smash cut to the first Raw of 2016's brand split, hella suits, and even sometimes ties. Fuck your respectability politics, Riley. Anyway, after a few teases of tagging out, we finally get a Jimmy Uso hot tag. He Samoan drops each individual Ascension dude, and then hip attacks Victor in the heels corner. Then Graves gets back on to his apron and then tags in. He ends up chop blocking Jimmy's left knee. Graves goes to work over that bad knee, but Jimmy suckers him in and hits him with a small package for 2. Sami blind tags in. Jimmy staggers Graves with a spinning kick, and then Sami hits a top rope crossbody for 2. Sami goes for a haluva kick. Graves picks him up in a fireman's carry. Sami escapes and then hits the blue thunder bomb, and then the Ascension break it up for a close near fall. Sami and Jay hit stereo clotheslines to send both Ascensioners out the ring. Sami finally hits the haluva kick on Graves. Then he tags in Jimmy, and then Sami and Jay do stereo top rope dives onto the Ascensioners down on the floor. Then Jimmy hits the top rope splash on Graves for the win. This is good ass main event. I suggest you guys go and watch it. Anyway, on to this week's NXT.
What are you smiling at? What are you even doing here?
Bro, I'm next on the photos. And honestly, I was standing back here watching the drama unfold because I've never seen anybody as jealous as you over Roddy getting a match with Gargano.
Really? Is that so?
Really?
So you think this is funny, I'm guessing?
Funny? I think it's hilarious, bro. And what are you gonna do about it?
I got bigger things to worry about. So how about you enjoy your stupid photo shoot?
Yeah, I will.
NXT 305, April 25th, 2019. Out come the Forgotten Sons, and you immediately know that there's going to be a Jackson Riker match because he's in the wrestling draws. Once you know that he's left those black boot cuts in the back, you know it's on. So then out comes Humberto Carrillo, and he's here to do this job for this muscle man that can't lace his boots. Carrillo versus Jackson Riker. It is a bunch of Humberto sticking and moving, doing fantastic, flying a little bit here and there, and then you know what happened. Riker got them paws on him, and he just clubbed the shit out of him left and right. And then from there, Carrillo made a comeback and knocked down Riker with a disaster kick. Then Riker's chasing him around, and then Riker ends up catching a back handspring elbow, and then Carrillo ended up hitting a standing moonsault. So Riker gets mad again, and then he ends up punishing Carrillo some more, and Riker ended up delivering that sit-out chokeslam move. That's his finish. But for some reason, Carrillo rolled out the ring, and Riker went after him, and they continued to beat the piss out of him, and then it spilled to where he threw him over the top of the barricade and then towards the stands, and then he keeps bashing his head against a barricade out by the further stands, and it keeps going and going, and then all of a sudden Lorcan and Birch show up and make the save, and then they pull some chairs out, and they keep the Forgotten Sons at bay. The two other Forgotten Sons, Blake and Blake, Wesley Blake, and I think the other dude's name is Steve Cutler. They're holding back Riker because Riker don't give a fuck about no chairs. He's crazy. Look at his eyes. And they basically fall off to the back. And then we get a backstage interview with Adam Cole, who was in the middle of doing a photo shoot because we can't just wait, apparently. Anyway, he's asked about the Gargano and Strong main event later on tonight, and he basically says that Roddy's going to do to him exactly what he would do to Gargano. He's going to beat that punk up. So then in the background, we hear some chuckles, and then Adam Cole asks, "What do you want?" Turn and we pan the camera. It's the original Pro, Matt Riddle, high as hell, of course. And he looked high. Let's just put it that way. So he says that he's never seen somebody so jealous in his life over a match with Johhny Gargano. And then Riddle says, "What are you going to do about it, bro?" So Cole tells Riddle that Riddle's not worth his time, and he backs out of the photo shoot area or whatever else. So then Riddle starts doing a few poses, being the goof that he naturally is. So next match, we get Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah, single A Aaliyah, which single A, it means two things. So we end up getting Candice LeRae coming out, and she has a mystery tag partner, much like this week 5 years ago. Her partner, Casey Catanzaro. So they start off in the match, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. They start off with Casey in the match. She shines. She does one or two moves, and then she's immediately cut off, and they get the heat on her, and they beat on her, and they beat on her, and they beat on her. And then they get the hot tag to Candice, and then Candice does her hot tag, goes wild, clears everybody out, and then she ends up hitting a neck breaker. I'm trying to think some other stuff she does. She ends up hitting, because the match is so short, she ends up hitting the K-Brada for the win, and it looks like there's going to be some potential tag teamery going on between Casey and Candice, possibly the new contenders, the new replacements for the Sky Pirates now that Kyrie's on NXT. So now they actually have a NXT eligible tag team, women's tag team that can actually be, worth a damn when it comes to taking on main roster women's tag champions, even though I'd have them beat the Iconics in a heartbeat. But that's just me. So then we end up getting a Kathy Kelly interview backstage with Io Shirai about what happened last week, where Shayna ends up breaking Kyrie's arm. Shirai said that what they did was terrible, and then all of a sudden, Jessamine and Marina, they jump Shirai, and they end up from behind, and end up holding her up against an equipment chest, which just such coincidence is back there. Anyway, they hold her up against it, and then coming into the shot is a Shayna Baszler knee that ends up rocking Io's head backwards, and her head bounces off the equipment chest, and she's basically shelved for who knows how long. Then we're shown footage of Kushida's arrival to NXT. We're shown the some video package of his moves. Then we're also shown the signing with Triple H and Regal. And then all of a sudden we cut to Regal backstage, talk more about Kushida. And then here comes the jobber to the stars. Cassius Ohno, back from his, the time where Keith Lee sent his ass up out of the Full Sail with a tornado forearm shot. He's back from NXT UK, and he says that he wants a shot at Kushida. So Regal considers it and says, you know what? That's not a bad idea. We love sending you to come out here to face the new guys to get whooped on. We'll send you out here to get whooped by the time splitter. So then we outcome the Street Profits. They do their usual. Let's say they do their usual thing. They come down to the ring, and then out come they were called the War Raiders. They come out, they're doing their Viking entrance, and then all of a sudden, while they come most of the way down the ramp, all of a sudden you see flying incoming out of the sky. It's the bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. It's the Kool-Aid Man. Nope. It is Montez Ford flip diving over the top rope onto them on the floor. The match starts with pace and urgency. They try to hit them with big combo tag finishers. They can't put away either one of them. At the start of the match, there was a electric chair blockbuster Before that, there was a move to where they tagged in Montez, and Montez hit a huge, I mean, like Seth Rollins huge, probably bigger frog splash. But then all of a sudden, the War Raiders finally get their grounding. They get control of the match. It's back and forth action. They ended up at the end of it. They end up losing to the Montez ends up getting the alley-oop power slam, which they now call the main roster the Viking Experience. Hardy Hard Vince. So I suggest you guys go back and watch the match. Great match. If it had went longer, it would have been one of the better matches on NXT this year so far. But it was a short thing, but I would love for them to wrestle again. Next, we get a Mia Yim media interview, or media availability, and she talks about the kind of like lay of the land in the women's division amongst Shayna Baszler laying out the entire roster. Mentions that she's pinned or she's submitted Bianca. Mentions what they just did to Io. Mentions what they did to Kyrie. And she says that she wants another shot because she's already faced Shayna before, and she knows she can beat her. So then we move on, and then we get the main event. Johhny Gargano versus Roddy Strong. This match was great. These two guys start out wrestling. And the thing that I like so much about these Roddy as a wrestler is that in most good wrestlers, they have their bread and butter that they fall back on most of the time. But they can do a bunch of different stuff. But the main thing is what kind of plays to their character. Roddy, he strikes, he chops, he gives backbreakers, he works over the back. Very simple. You go in every match and you know what you're getting. But the way that he worked over Johnny's back in this match at different points, it was great. It was like, because Johhny likes to fancy himself doing all of the Captain America, Iron Man stuff, all the Marvel stuff. He's a huge Spider-Man fan. I got one for you. How about you get some Batman? And because he's facing Roddy, who's literally trying to break his back, we're going to just call Roddy Bane. He's literally trying to break this dude's back throughout this whole match. We end up getting to a point where all of a sudden Adam Cole comes down after they're just wrestling back and forth, killing each other, super kicks galore, knees. It's just great wrestling. Adam Cole comes down and he goes to interfere. And then the rest of Undisputed also come down. Fish and O'Reilly, they come down. So, because of the interaction earlier in the show, or earlier in the day, you have the save being made by Matt Riddle. He ends up taking out the tag team. So Cole takes out Riddle for a split second. So, because it's a double down between Gargano and Strong goes out there to see what's going on, and all of the nonsense and shenanigans going on. Cole thinks that because he just got touched by Gargano, so he ends up turning around and kicking his own teammate's head in, and never go from there. And he ends up getting finished in the match, and now you have it all laid before you. You had the little tease and a little video backstage after NXT TakeOver New York, where Cole was blaming Roddy. You have Roddy making that attack on Johhny last week, and Johhny playing a game on Cole, and also wanting some vengeance on Roddy, saying, "Okay, Undisputed, I just got done messing with the mind game master and head fucker of of Tommaso Ciampa. I got something for you. I'm going to get a piece after what happened to me last week, and I'm going to spite you by getting you with your insecure ass, put you on the sideline and let your friend wrestle me and deny you because I've already beaten you 2 times in a row, or 2 falls in a row at the pay-per-view." So it's just so good. Oh man, it's so good and so simple and straightforward. Anyway, so all the Undisputed get in the ring, and Cole tells him, I apologize, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you, I thought you were Johhny. And you know what? Roddy, he got up and said, come on guys, you're right, I understand it's an accident, things happen, it's a competitive business, right? So they all walk to the back, but the seeds have been sowed for whatever happens in the future, and whenever there's tension there, you can always go back to that. And if and when Undisputed ever does implode, they'll always have that to go back to say, you know what, I never liked your motherfucking ass, no way, to quote Scarface. So that's the end of the show. Really good show. The tag match was short but very good. Would have been great even longer. And Roddy and Johhny went out there and put on a wrestling clinic. I highly recommend the show for you guys to check out. Next week, I believe, will be the debut of Kushida. Yeah, so check that out. I'm sure they'll do something really cool with Ono, whether it's a really good match or a really good showcase or whatever storyline they do to kind of ingratiate himself into the universe and the storytelling and blah blah blah. You get the point. So that's the end of the show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this podcast. Tell the people about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Be sure to check out our friends at powerslam.tv, the sponsor for this show. If you're a fan of independent wrestling, they have over 4,000 hours of footage from all over the world. You can use the code Social Suplex to get your free month's trial. Don't forget to check out ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex merchandise. Be sure to check out the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. On Sunday, we have One Nation Radio with Rich and me, not solo. Much better show. On Tuesdays, we have Keepin It Strong Style, or Mondays, you tell me. On Wednesdays, we have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Podcast. Every other Wednesday, we have Grown Men Watch This Shit. On Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays when I can't find a guest host, we have NXT Then Now Forever. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite. Thanks for listening, y'all. This was not fun to do. I hate having to hear my own self with nobody to bounce this off of as far as my jokey jokes and the other thing and all that, how that goes. I like conversations. I don't like I'm just shooting this off into space and you guys hear it and whatever. But yeah, again, thanks for listening. See you next week. Later.